Welcome everyone. There's really not much to say. I'm going to get right into this story. It's the 9-year anniversary. What better time to share it with you all than right now? Without further ado, I bring to you Dannyboy versus the toilet. First off, let me say I hadn't the slightest idea a battle of brute forces was about to take place here. I approached the toilet like any other day, completely oblivious to the notion that I could ever unwittingly challenge a porcelain juggernaut in a duel for the ages. Couple that with the fact that I don't remember what I ate, so I have no idea what in my diet stirred up such a furious response from my anus that fateful night that instigated these vile events, and therefore I have no idea how to avoid such a drama from occurring in the future. Anyways, as I sit on the toilet preparing to expunge another loaf of brown sugar, a funny feeling came over me right from the get-go. My anus just wasn't cooperating with me tonight. At first I relaxed, gave everyone a moment to breathe and offered to just let the problem take care of itself. I soon realized there were harsh feelings towards me from Sphincter, and that my request for a peaceful resolution was falling on deaf ears. I wasn't looking for conflict, you must understand, so I simply figured the Big A wanted me to chip in for taking out the trash. I had no problem obliging. I'll push, man, relax. I gave a bit, just enough I thought, to send this little bottle rocket on its way. Little did I know I should have been trying to launch a scud, a mongoloid scud of vile proportions. I pushed more, nothing. Again, same result. Okay, I'm game. Let's have some fun. Disaster was rearing its ugly head and I unknowingly initiated it. I pushed like a fat man cutting in line before closing time at the old country buffet, and I moved it. An inch, a foot, a mile. However much of this stench-laden dynamo I forced out, I was certain was more than enough to send it crashing into the bowl where it would soon commence its death throes while trying to swim upriver out of the pole of the mighty flush of my Goliath. Not so fast. As soon as I relinquished my force, my ass decided to play a devious trick on me. A disappearing act. The turd decided to play the role of Loki, chuckling away as it retreated back into my anus, back up my ass. As if submerged in liquid nitrogen, I froze stiff, stunned at the betrayal of my own anus. 23 years. 23 years we had this alliance, and in the blink of an eye I was stabbed in the back. The asshole, to be precise. How poetic. I wasn't as blind a follower of this would-be dictator called my anus as it would want me to believe. While this may not be my home court, Old Brown I certainly didn't have the home field advantage for this one. I consider myself the Copperfield of the commode, and this joker hovering over the toilet was soon to see I had a few weapons in my arsenal. As soon as I got my senses about me, I sprung into action, moving seamlessly into my special moves. I planted my feet on the floor, an ancient Chinese technique that helps in attacking your anal assailants and forces them from their hiding places into the light of justice. I felt the shift of power and jumped the gun, celebrating far too early. As I pumped my fists in victory, feeling the turd slide out further and further, here comes another roadblock, literally. I got clogged. I wanted poo. I reached out for a stick of doo-doo butter and exposed myself. I showed my hand too early and ended up with a big ball of shit. I laughed in delirium. I pushed out merely a tendril of the behemoth, and as I lost gradually more and more strength from my laughable technique, the behemoth snapped back, pulling the turd back into my anus like a frog's tongue after snaring a juicy fly. The fly this night was my shattered ego. The best offense is a good defense, a notion I laughed at when I was a child. It took a massive turd in my ass to change my perception on that little nugget. The nugget of wisdom, that is, not the nugget of fecal matter packed in my colon. All it did was counter. Whatever move I had, it snapped back with great precision, negating the conflict and leaving no result. The same old, same old. Me sitting on the toilet with an unmoving bowling ball of shit in my ass. I rolled on the bowl, gyrating like your stripper sister on your drunken father's lap on Christmas Eve. I pushed for leverage, pulled my weight, cursing the great brown beast with every amount of G-force pulled in my furious movement around the bowl. I'd either launch this turd with my own strength or suck it out the vortex I was rapidly creating with my movement. Turns out my toilet had no intentions in turning a blind eye to the copious amounts of damage I was doing to its seat and lid hinges. My feral attacks not only damaged my anus, it ravaged the land surrounding my mud hole as well. The toilet had a response to the events transpiring that evening. As I spun faster and faster, feeling myself slowing down the Earth's rotation with my own spin against it, my toilet struck. The wooden seat split at its joints, opening up like the mouth of a stalking crocodile as it leaped from the still waters at an unsuspecting gazelle that wandered a little too far into the water. The vice clamped down on my flesh, and like a wailing harpy I screeched into the night. This was no useless gazelle getting turned into lunch on the shores of some crap-ass African plains. This was 2 pieces of wood using my scrotum for the creamy center of its psychotic pine Oreo cookie. I'm now in a crossfire. No safety. No neutral ground. I've entered hostile territory and they're letting me know it. This is it? This is my moment of defeat? My scrotum pinched and my ass stuffed like a Thanksgiving turkey? After all this time spent mastering my craft, would I be reprimanded to the apprentice with one last horrific lesson to be taught by this Mr. Miyagi I commonly referred to as my poo pipe? No. No. No! I screamed that word as my battle cry. Not this night. Not this ass. Not this turd. I reached down with my left hand in an attempt to cup the massive blob of a flesh duffel bag I lovingly referred to as my scrotum and yank with all my might. As I shift my weight and forcefully smash into the flank of the toilet seat like a battering ram with my ass cheek, I forced the toilet into submission. It released my syrup sac and recoils in pain. I had no time to lick my wounds. A boy can dream. I had to take an offensive unlike any I mustered that evening. While planting my feet and correcting my posture into a full upright position, I felt it. It moved. It moved towards the water. Towards defeat. Why? Why now? What caused such a shift in the battle? Like a lightning bolt it hit me. The shift of power came from the shift in my ass. When I clenched in the horrendous pain of dislodging my flesh balloon from the clutches of my toilet-turned-bear trap, the clench of my anus smashed the turd like a meatloaf in a trash compactor. It didn't slice through it, though. It wasn't ready to concede defeat just yet, but was much too far over the cliff to turn back now. I clenched my cheeks together again, harder than ever, turning two butt halves into one massive uber cheek. I severed the arm of this creature and dented the hull of this Death Star of a turd ball. The spritz of backsplash onto my now openly spread butt cheeks and anus was like being showered in champagne after a Super Bowl win. But as much as I wanted to relish in victory, the battle was only half over. The mothership still had to be grounded. I spread my left cheek and pinned it down on the shattered toilet seat, digging in like a grappling hook. With one side anchored down, I spread over the other, pulling with all my might until my anus was open wider than Waldo Dude's mouth, trying to force in an entire pit-roasted suckling pig. I replanted my feet, pressed my back against the raised toilet lid, and reached up to the heavens with both arms. Doing my best Axl Rose dance impression, I started to shift my torso from left to right, slithering like a snake but trying to keep my legs and feet planted, another ancient Chinese bowel-moving technique. The behemoth had strength and girth, but its psyche was broken by this point. This was merely a formality. Soon my movement lost any laboring. I was in a feverish pitch. I was possessed. This was like a religious experience, and I was a lightning rod, more a convulsion than a predetermined movement around the commode. Soon after, the demon turd was exorcised, an unceremonious thud into the toilet, and like hearing a fart reverberating off the wooden seat in the library, my concentration was broken. Instantly, I sprung up and turned to face this villain. It reminded me of Saddam Hussein being removed from his spider hole, only this actually meant something. I hunched over and inspected this being. The tendril had no distinct shape, no real form. It didn't have nearly the length it showed in the battle. It made no sense. How could this beast poke and pry into me, cling into my ass, and retreat back up into the sanctum of my colon? It was a doppelganger, changing its appearance to suit its need for that moment, deceiving all its fellow turds as well as myself. The brain center, the mothership, the mass that the tendril sprung forth from was far more ominous. Its size was incomprehensible. Even with the damage I wreaked upon it, it still had shape and size. I could sense its hatred. As I stared into this brown abyss, I knew it stared back into me in equal amazement and disgust. I was the victor. We both knew it. Dannyboy, a.k.a. Victory Boy, November 4th, 2004. Thank you.